What's the good word, y'all? Welcome to the New York Jets Syndicate channel. It's your boy DKB here. So I wanted to cover one of the spots that we still need to fill that's going to be a hole on our defensive side of the roster. You know, taking a look at what we did during the offseason, what we ended up doing during the draft, and some of the undrafted free agents we picked up as well. You can key in on the fact that they want to make sure they have a legit option for our third linebacker, our starting in the base package for us. That's something we haven't been able to legitimately fill yet, right? We're talking about CJ Mosley holding down the fort, Quincy Williams, who we re-signed, and then Kwon Alexander was that guy for us last season, but we haven't been able to adequately replace him yet, right? You're talking about in-house candidates, Jamie and Sherwood, who's more so the long-term CJ Mosley replacement in my mind. Hamza Najmuddin, who's been struggling to even stay on special teams. And so, you know, you don't feel great about those options. We did pick up Zaire Barnes in the draft. He's probably going to be a core special teamer in year one. Probably bump off Hamza Najmuddin if we're being, realistic here. And then in the undrafted free agent pool, we picked up three or four linebackers that definitely fit the mold of what the New York Jets are looking for. But unless you end up seeing unexpected performances out of one of those guys, you still want to make sure you go back. And in my opinion, I really do think we should revisit the Kwon Alexander signing and get him re-signed for this offseason. Now, we did have conversation with them. Joe Douglas and I believe Robert Saleh as well have mentioned that the door is still fully opened. They just kind of wanted to see how the offseason was going to play out in this particular case. And so when you take a look at something like the contract that we just got Kwon Alexander on last year, an extreme steal for us. He played on a 1 year, $1.27 million contract. Only 152 of that was guaranteed. And so obviously there's going to be a bump, right? The expectation from Kwon's side was he's going to ball out in Robert Saleh's defense, a defense he's had tremendous success from before that landed him his first big contract. And then when free agency came around this offseason, he will be able to cash in and probably get himself back up there. You're talking about a guy that's not necessarily over the hill, 8 years of experience, but he's only heading into I believe age 28 or 29. And he was able to go out there and do quite a bit of big things for us. So he hits a number of levels, right? From the leadership standpoint, everybody in that building has talked about, you know, how he goes about greeting the team, but really how he goes out there and sets the example himself, right? He's not going to ask anything of his teammates that he can't go out there and accomplish himself. So he's coming off not necessarily being a true starter, right? 12 starts, played the full season though, which he hasn't done since like his sophomore year. Racks up a pass deflection, a forced fumble. He gets a half a sack. 69 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, hits the quarterback twice, and he really just kind of moved the needle, right? It was more so about the tone setting ability that he brought. We seen the big hit after big hit, right before or after we either went on a pretty big point swing, or when we really needed a boost of confidence to go out there and make sure we shut the window down on somebody. So I would love to have Kwon Alexander back. Obviously, there's going to be a slight bump in his contract, and we don't really have anything in terms of his previous contracts to compare it to, right? But maybe you want to go based on the full rookie contract value that he had. 2.78 million. That'll be a pretty nice pay bump for him. You can guarantee, let's say, like 1.8 million of it. It won't break the cap. It'll be more than what he's been accustomed to. Maybe you throw in some performance incentive based elevators into it. But I think being able to run it back with the same linebacker core that we had, that chemistry, you won't really see a step back from them. And if anything, I would argue you'll probably actually see a bump forward as they'll have that second year in the system. We're going to have generally better talent around them again. There's a hole in the defensive tackle spot as well that we need to try to adequately fill. But you feel good about what you have on the back end still. The safety room, again, the linebacker unit as a whole. And yeah, this could just be one of those things where you want to keep the performances as consistent as possible in the front seven. And Kwon Alexander is just a guy that's going to bring the juice. He's going to make sure that the team is prepared. The young guys are doing what they need to do to help take over in the right now as well as the future. And he's just a fun dude to see on the field. I want to see him try to run through a couple more bodies this season in a Jets uniform. So maybe he will have the Connor McGovern effect, and he'll help us out with his contract a little bit, just to be able to play with Aaron Rodgers after seeing the success we had with 4 terrible performances by 4 terrible quarterbacks for us last year. So we'll see how that pans out. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Kwon Alexander, do you have a different linebacker that you think you prefer? Do you want to give one of the young guys a shot? And I'll catch you again. Peace.